First job at 15 was working as an answering service telephone operator for an old friend of my parents. There was a long-term customer, an independent insurance agent, who rented an office in the building. For the life of me, I just couldn't pronounce his last name the first week or two on the job. He walked through the office constantly complaining and making scenes. The owner couldn't stand him because he was always sticking his nose into other people's business. The guy approached him multiple times a day trying to get me fired over a simple pronunciation mistake. Then one day he seriously crossed the line. He showed up at my house while my dad was at work and tried to pressure my mom into convincing me to quit. During that visit, he behaved in a way that was completely inappropriate and made her very uncomfortable. She immediately told him to leave and called my dad. My dad was at the office within the hour and made it very clear that what happened was unacceptable. The owner backed us up 100%. He told the customer in no uncertain terms that his behavior was inappropriate, that I wasn't going anywhere, that their business relationship was over, and that he had 24 hours to clear out his office. Watching him haul boxes to his car the next day, clearly furious, was honestly incredibly satisfying. The whole office was quietly celebrating. My parents laughed about it for years. I stayed there another 8 years until I graduated college. Gotta admit, my first employer was a really solid guy. I accidentally started a grease fire working as a cook at a nursing home. It was my first day alone. I was told not to call my supervisor with questions because they hadn't had a day off in a while, and I was told to use lids on pots to make things cook faster. So I did exactly that while frying shrimp. I lifted the lid for half a second to check them, and the pan basically exploded into flames like I had summoned something. My brain fully shut off. Fire alarm screaming, smoke everywhere. Me just standing there holding a spatula like that was going to fix it. They evacuated residents wrapped in blankets. One lady gave me a thumbs up through the window, which honestly made it worse. 5 fire trucks showed up. 5 for shrimp. The firefighters put it out in minutes. One of them just asked, "First day?" I nodded like a disappointed toddler. My supervisor had to come in anyway. I was 100% sure I was getting fired. Instead, they just sighed and said, "Next time, call me." Didn't get fired, still get called Chef Flambe. I have a coworker who lives in her own reality, which is frightening because we work healthcare. She gets verbally aggressive with patients, gives medical advice. She's not a clinician. Countless patient complaints, yells at coworkers. She's been talked to multiple times by management, but nothing has changed. Baffles my brain every day. A woman who I sat by was a complete snitch. There was a time I was going through marriage issues which was leading to divorce. I would get up from my desk to deal with calls from either my kids, or the ex, or my lawyer. She would keep track of my movements, or what was on my screen. News and sports websites? And report it to our manager. I caught wind of this and had a one-on-one with the manager and let him know what was going on in my private life. When she tried to snitch on me again, the manager told her to mind her own business and focus on her job. Screw you, Kristen. You coattail rider. A guy in my department who wasn't particularly likable or a close friend, more of a work friend since we sat near each other and talked about sports, asked if I could help him move because I had a truck. So on a Saturday, in the middle of summer on my own time, I helped this guy move a couch, a dresser, and a bunch of other stuff. We're almost done loading up when one of his neighbors offers me a beer, a Coors Light. I'm drenched in sweat. So yeah, a cold beer sounded pretty good. I drank it. We finished loading and hit the road. Monday morning, I get called into my boss's office because someone reported that I was drinking and driving. Turns out the same guy I helped, the one I gave up my Saturday for, went straight to our boss to tell her I had that beer. I don't think I've ever been that angry in my life. My coworker used to use the only bathroom we had and just leave it like that for me to deal with in the morning. She's not around anymore. She and her boyfriend were shot after his roommate, completely snapped over ongoing issues in the apartment. It was a whole tragic situation. The bathroom war between us actually started during COVID. Our shop had an exposure, and because most of our customers were elderly, I put up a small sign that said masks advised until this date. She absolutely hated that. Told me she'd done her research and that masks didn't work. I told her I wasn't taking health advice from someone who couldn't even flush a toilet. She claimed it wouldn't flush. Okay, so your solution is to leave it for your coworker. We had a pretty intense argument about it. It was one of the most ridiculous workplace feuds I've ever been part of, all over basic hygiene and a paper sign on a door. Some jobs really test you in ways you don't expect. Wife worked at a large office building with multiple tenants, and they had to remove all paper towels from the bathroom because someone was clogging the toilet every day with them. My wife left there for a new job, but her coworkers she kept in touch with said they moved to the new building and toilet issues started again. So the person causing the issue was in their company. This was like a 7-month daily occurrence where she'd come into work and tell her coworkers an entire drama-filled make-believe friendship with me. None of it were true. She faked phone calls with me and made it seem like I called her 10x a shift, acting annoyed that I kept calling her while she was trying to work. I never called her. Not once. I never hung out with her. Never went to her house. Never did anything she said. Wasn't getting married, and certainly wasn't left at the altar. She just straight lied about me every single day for months on end while she was a stranger to me. She called the unit while I was working her shift, left a message at the desk for me to call her about going out that night. This was to back up her story with the staff, that we were friends. But since they had filled me about everything she said, I called her back from the unit and confronted her about everything she'd been telling people. She didn't respond to me. She just hung up and never came back to work. None of us saw her again.